And here we go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Pulse of Ithaca podcast, your local podcast for entertainment in the greater Ithaca, New York area. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Sean, your host, and joining me is my ever-knowledgeable co-host, Pete. This week we'll be discussing some upcoming concerts in Ithaca and beyond. Also coming up in 10 minutes from now, we'll be honored to interview Michael Mazza, founding member of Ithaca Reggae Fest and Ithaca's Youth Entrepreneur Market. Let's get started.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Sean, great to be here with you, live and direct from the Canopy Hotel in downtown Ithaca. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Yes,
thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, super excited for this show. It's been a few weeks since we've gotten together.
Yes.
We've got a lot of events coming up here in Ithaca over the next few weeks. It is the festival season. It's 80 degrees out.
It is.
Ithaca. The sun is out. Graduations are happening. We're excited to get into it. So,
all right. Any shows or festivals or announcements our listeners might be interested in, Pete?
Start things off, I wanted to kind of just talk about some festival announcements and some show announcements, not anything necessarily happening this weekend or in the next week or so. Out in Lincoln Hill Farms, last week or a few weeks ago, we talked with TJ and he had a whole bunch of shows that they had announced. Over the past couple weeks, they've announced a couple more that I'm super excited about. We've got G Love and Special Sauce with Brett Denon and Mahali of Twiddle on July 27th. Those tickets are $42. Really excited for that show. G Love has played up there a couple of times before. Nice to see that even though Twiddle isn't touring this year, that Mahali's doing some solo work. Super excited for that.
Nice.
Also, they have another great show that I'm looking forward to seeing is Mattis Yahoo with special guests Distant Cousins. That's happening Friday, August 23rd. 2024. Those tickets are $45. Michael and I actually saw Mattis Yahoo when he played up here at Cornell.
Sweet.
A few months ago, so that was a good time. Looking forward to seeing him. Mattis Yahoo's played almost every summer up there for the past few years. So,
awesome.
And I haven't made it up there yet.
Okay.
You got to make it happen this year.
Yeah, bucket list.
Put that on your calendars and check it out. Also, some more announcements that came out in the past couple of weeks. Wonderland Forest up in Lafayette, New York. They just had Ray Anastasio Trio play up there last weekend, and they announced another great kind of jam band type of festival. They have Bisco Land, hosted by the Disco Biscuits, happening on July 4th to the 6th. It's going to be 4 sets of Disco Biscuits, featuring a great lineup, including Tractor Beam, Lettuce, Nora Ampure, Mark Farina, Iraq, who's a band that I haven't seen play in a while. They actually broke up and they're back together now. I think they got back together a couple years ago. Band I really enjoy. They also have the Kitchen Dwellers and Ithaca's own Gymkata, as well as The Breakfast, along with many more. Also coming up is at Wonderland Forest is Green Sky Bluegrass. That's Thursday, July 18th. Those tickets are $37. And they're actually doing something really interesting up there. They're doing 11 days of live music at Wonderland Forest called The Grateful Getaway. And it's 11 days of live music celebrating Jerry Garcia and the music of the Grateful Dead. And that's happening August 1st to the 11th. The headliner of that festival happening at the tail end of that is Dark Star Orchestra. They're playing on August 9th and 10th. They're also they have bands playing each night throughout the 11 days. Some of the bands include Melvin Seals and JGB, the Sam Grishman Project. I'm a big fan of Pink Talking Fish Are Dead, and Grateful for Biggie is also playing. And those tickets are available at www.wonderlandforest.com. So such a cool venue. I think this is their second year that they've been open up there. They've been booking a lot of great acts up there and bringing some big names to the region. It's what I think about 45 minutes to an hour from here. They have camping. Haven't made it up there yet, but seems like a good time to seems like they've got their legs under them a little bit. I've been hearing a lot of good feedback. Michael, did you happen to make it up there for the Ray Anastasio Trio? No. Okay. Yeah, I talked to a couple friends who did, and they said it was great. It seems like they're starting to figure out their layout a little bit and their camping and that kind of thing. So, sometimes you at a new venue like that, it takes them a little time to get their feet underneath them, but sounds like things are coming together.
Yeah, it'd be nice if Scuba Jerry could get on that Grateful Dead lineup too.
I know, right? Yeah, that would be great.
I hit up Russ and Cha-Cha about
it.
Yeah, I mean, they have 11 days announced, but then they only have 6 or 7 bands, so it'll be...
11 days is a long time.
Yeah, I mean, must be nice. Like, who's doing that? Like, they're selling 11-day passes. Like, who can do that?
Yeah, find out.
There's a
Us,
band that
hopefully.
can do that.
There's a band.
A single band that can do that.
Right.
Starts with a PH.
Also, just in the past couple of days, the Finger Lakes GrassRoots Festival announced their daily schedule. Looking forward to seeing a lot of that music. We've talked a little bit about that already this year. Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad, I believe, is playing Friday night. Always look forward to that show. Saturday night is kind of the meat of the festival for me. In the infield, they have Willie Watson from Watkins Glen, who used to play with Old Crow Medicine Show, who's playing around 6 o'clock. And then it's followed by Old Crow Medicine Show in the infield, and then Molly Tuttle, who's a band that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Some great kind of bluegrass music. Also, so much good music. Preston Frank is playing, Cast Iron Cowboys, Donna the Buffalo. Just lots of great music, 4 days of fun and dance. Michael, any bands that you were looking forward to checking out at all? Anything that was on your mind?
I think for grassroots, it's all about the people. You know, I don't necessarily go to grassroots for the music.
Yeah.
Even though I love all the music there, it's really just like the
vibe,
community connection where we all come together and just celebrate each other.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait.
Dude, what a good answer.
I know, right? Those tickets are available at www.grassrootsfest.org. Get your tickets. The prices, I think, are going up here in the next few weeks, so get them early, and looking forward to seeing everybody out there.
Cool. Pete, tell us about what's going on in Ithaca the next few weeks.
The next few weeks, well, we've got Ithaca Festival that's coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend, right? That's May 30th to June 2nd. It kicks off with the Ithaca Festival Parade, May 30th. They also have a spring craft fair and live performances. They have over 70 performers happening over the weekend. They have some local acts, some nationally touring acts. The event is free. It's happening all weekend. And more information is available there at www.ithacafestival.org. Kind of a nice celebration. The students head out of town. The locals kind of take the town back a little bit.
Yeah, so the first time I experienced this, I was asking my sister, like, what's this for? And she was like kind of joking. It's like, oh, this is when Ithacans take back the town from the college kids.
Yeah, that's
exactly. Makes perfect sense.
That's how Michael described it to me as well. So.
Yeah, awesome.
And just a little piece of history with Ithaca Festival. Back in the day, like in the 90s, they would have the Sunday of Ithaca Festival in Stewart Park.
Oh, wow.
So the whole festival would move from downtown Ithaca over to Stewart Park. And I remember as a kid, that was the best day to go to Ithaca Festival.
Yeah.
And then for logistical and economic reasons, it just became not a sustainable model.
Mm-hmm.
So they stopped moving the festival to Stewart Park. So Stewart Park was in the absence of live music.
For a long time.
For a long time. And that was one of the original inspirations to the festival.
Okay, interesting. That's some good legacy knowledge there. So yeah, definitely go to the website. You can see the full schedule, ithacafestival.org. Also coming up, deep dive, a whole bunch of stuff going on per usual. One thing I thought was interesting is they just kicked off Industry Night on Mondays.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they're doing rotating DJs that kicks off at 5 p.m. It's on the deck, which is right there on the water. A super nice space that they got going there. A lot of places are closed on Mondays in the summer. A great opportunity for people who work in the industry and just for the rest of us who want to get out and get some sun and some music to go check that out. So they've also got a few bands playing. They got the Human Rights with Will the People, hosted by our good friend Mike Judah, who's going to be DJing. That's happening Friday, May 24th at 8 p.m. Tickets are $15 day of the show, $9 in advance. They also have Roadman playing a happy hour set, which, as you all know, is my favorite early show on the deck. That's happening Saturday, May 25th from 5 to 7 p.m. And coming up this weekend, they have the Memorial Day Golden Hour Party with Sophistafunk. That's also happening on the deck, and that's happening Sunday, May 26th. So if you're in town this weekend, some great music happening on Sunday. What else do we have here? Sunday, May 30th, Sundub. That show's at 8 p.m., $10 advance, $15 day of the show. Sundub is a New York City-based band, I believe.
Yep, Brooklyn.
Okay, Brooklyn, that's right. And they have been featured at Reggae Fest before, and they seem to get up here at least a couple times a year. So if you've missed them or if you saw them last time and you want to get more, definitely check it out. One other show happening at Deep Dive, so much going on, Dub Apocalypse featuring Carlton Livingston. That's happening Saturday, June 8th. Dub Apocalypse features members from John Brown's Body, and those tickets are available, as always, at www.deepdiveithaca.com.
Nice, Pete. Anything coming up at the State Theater that our listeners might be interested in?
Yeah, so the State Theater is kind of winding down their concert series or their concert season. They don't have a lot of shows in the summer, right? There's no air conditioning in that building, so they tend to kind of not do that much in the summer. But they do have a show coming up with the ex-ambassadors on their North American tour, supported by New West and Rowan Drake. That's happening Saturday, June 1st at 8 p.m. Those tickets are available at statetheaterofithaca.org. Lots of good music, as usual. We're really ramping up here with the season. I think we're going to have a lot of good shows coming up over the next few months here on the podcast. Just so much good music to talk about. Coming up next, we have our interview with Michael Mazza. Stick with us. 30 seconds. We'll be right back.
All right, listeners, it's that time when Sean and Pete stop talking to each other and start talking to someone way more interesting. And now, without further ado, let's get started.
Welcome back to the Pulse of Ithaca, where we dive deep into the heartbeat of our community, exploring the stories and our initiatives that make Ithaca unique. Today, I'm thrilled to have a very special guest, a visionary leader and a good friend, Michael Mazza. Michael's a dynamic force behind two incredible local initiatives, the Youth Entrepreneur Market, where young entrepreneurs and musicians showcase their talents, and the vibrant Ithaca Reggae Fest, now celebrating its 6th year and continuing to bring joy and unity through the music to our community. Michael, welcome to the Pulse of Ithaca podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
You were one of the first people to welcome me to Ithaca. We met over there in my neighborhood before I even closed on my house. We were at a Kevin Kinsella show. And unknown to you at that time, you were one of the driving forces that actually drew me to this area. I'll just tell a quick story that you know, but our listeners might not. But I was living in Buffalo at the time. A friend of mine sent me a flyer for the first Reggae Fest. That must have been 2017?
2017, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was all my favorite bands, John Brown's Body, Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad, Thunder Body, Crucial Reggae Social Club, I believe, played that first year. And I jokingly said to my friend, yeah, I know, I got to move there. And a year later, I actually did move here, and it was kind of a joke at the time, but there was the Ithaca Thaw was going on around the same time, and TJ was running that, and the music scene here is just thriving as always. So thanks for joining us here today, and we're really excited to learn more about the Youth Entrepreneur Market and Rootstock, and also kind of dive into the Ithaca Reggae Fest, the lineup that's going on this year, and kind of learning about how both of these events came about. So thanks again.
Awesome.
Awesome. Michael, thanks again, man. Could you start by giving our listeners a brief overview of what the Youth Entrepreneur Market is and what their mission is?
Yeah, so the youth entrepreneurship market, we call it YEM, for reasons for people who will know will understand that reference. But yeah, YEM is a program designed to give young people who are experimenting with things like a lemonade stand, right? They're testing their entrepreneurial thinking practices and needing something beyond that neighborhood lemonade stand to go and further their exploration in entrepreneurship. So that was the original idea, is furthering that, and then it grew from there to become a full-on program that trains young people on how to prepare for an event like that. The original idea was actually born from a question that my daughters asked me after making like $20 one day from a lemonade stand in our driveway. They were asking me, "Hey, Dad, is there a place where we can go where we can have more people?" And I thought that was a pretty intuitive question on their part.
Yeah.
And, knowing some people around town, I called around to different event organizers, and they all told me no, they can't bring their lemonade stand there.
Really?
And so that really sparked an inquiry. It's like, where do young people go after they have that initial spark?
Yeah.
And so the original idea was to have an event, a festival, as you've been sharing. We have so many festivals in Ithaca to celebrate all kinds of things, but we don't have one that celebrates youth. And so I was like, what if we had a festival where kids are the vendors and adults are the consumers? And so that idea, I started sharing that with various people, eventually talked to my friend Ethan Ash. And he said, I've been thinking something about entrepreneurship as well, but thinking about how do we prepare them for this kind of event that you're talking about. And so that's where the whole idea, we kind of merged those two concepts together to have, workshops that lead people towards an event. Originally it was two workshops, one event, and it's grown now to be 5 workshops, actually 2 different series. There's an after school series and a spring series, but 5 workshops that lead into not just one event, which is Rootstock, but also all of the festivals in the community. And it's actually really cool to see how the community transformed by us, starting this idea, because now we have event organizers that literally call us to ask us if we can bring our kids and kid vendors to their events. Yeah. So it's kind of cool to see the way the community changed from the answer no, which was a really beautiful no, right?
Right.
Sparked good inquiry. To then morph into where they're welcome at all the events in the community.
And can you tell us a little bit about what those workshops look like and what that format is for the kids?
Yeah, so at each workshop we have like a focus. So the first workshop we focus on, idea generation and how to come up with an idea to further, in the program. And then the second workshop, we really get into the planning. We call it business planning, but it's basically just project planning. We give them tools, which are essentially just worksheets that they can work through and answer questions. And so they do a lot of the planning in the second workshop. The third workshop, we focus on the money, how to budget and kind of plan for success for the business. And then the fourth workshop is essentially our marketing workshop, but we really focus on storytelling and how they can share their why, what they're interested in, why they do what they do, and how it's going to benefit the people who are going to buy what they buy. So the why question is really present in YEM. But my favorite part about the program is that at each of those workshops, we bring in local entrepreneurs to share their stories with the kids.
Oh, that's
and
great.
So the kids have an opportunity to learn from these stories. They have an opportunity to work with them during the working session, to ask questions.
Right.
And, if somebody wanted to make cookies and we had a cookie speaker like Via Carpenter from Via's Cookies, they can bounce their ideas off of the entrepreneurs and further their ideas even more from that. And in the very beginning, we steered away from having a pitch event, which is kind of common in entrepreneurial programs. And we thought the kids would be, nervous about pitching, and we didn't want that to get in the way of them being in the program. And so we resisted for years, and then about 3 years ago, we decided to launch, or it was right before COVID, we decided to launch a pitch event, which we call Fish Tank,
Nice.
which is another reference for those that know. But, instead of Shark Tank, it's Fish Tank, and kids get up and share their stories that they generated in that fourth workshop.
Nice.
And the students who they pitched to actually a series of panelists. This year it was one of the founders of Ben & Jerry's, Jeff Furman, Via Carpenter, and Brandon Wright. And they basically listen to the stories, ask questions, give advice, but then judge them and choose the top 3 presentations.
Okay.
And the top pitch gets $500 towards their business. Second place gets $300 towards their business, and third place gets $100.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then every student who is brave enough to get up there and share their story gets at least $50.
Oh, that's cool.
That's amazing. And that was at the State Theater.
The first one was at the State Theater.
Okay.
Dan Smalls has always been our MC.
Oh, nice.
He's been involved. His kid was in YEM early on, and so he just loves the program and has always been with us from a coaching, speaking perspective. And he said, "Hey guys, I can MC this thing, make the kids feel comfortable." He books all the acts at the State Theater. Ethan Ash is the president of the board of the State Theater, so they were able to make the space available to us, which was great. But we were like, a small P in this big, huge venue.
Right, yeah.
So we decided to shift it back to the Rev, which is right above us here, actually right next door. Yeah, right there.
Okay, at the canopy here.
Yeah, the Rev is it's an entrepreneurial like a co-working space for people to incubate their ideas and build their ideas until they grow into something big. And a lot of things out of Ithaca have come out of Rev, including Ithaca hummus, which we all probably have enjoyed at some point or another. But yeah, so that's
awesome.
Rev is where we do the workshops, and now we have the fish tank event there too.
That's amazing. So my next question you already answered. So Sean, I'm just going to let you go ahead and hop in here.
All right, Michael. How do you think the participating in YAM benefits young entrepreneurs and musicians? Which you kind of answered, but can you share a success story? How about that?
Yeah, well, there's a couple success stories. The very first year of YEM have some really, really close family friends, which are basically family. And there's 4 kids in the family, and they had stopped by one day. The 2 boys, I showed them the flyer. I said, hey, do you guys want to join this program? It starts next week.
Yeah.
And they joined, and they had a drone and a camera.
Okay.
And they wanted to turn it into like a photography, videography business.
Yeah.
And so that year they showed up, and, it's a very, the markets are very product based. People are selling things.
Sure.
But they didn't let that stop them. They were selling their service. So they showed up with all of their photos and all of these videos and screens, and we're kind of demonstrating the services that they provide. And they threw their drone up in the air during the event and filmed a whole bunch of different things. Mm-hmm. And then that night, they went home and just worked on a video. And the next day, I woke up in my inbox, had a video produced by these 2 students.
Oh, wow.
Their names are Gavin and Adley. They started a business called GA Studios, which is still in existence today.
That's amazing.
And they're like, here's a video. You can use this to promote this program. This is really great. And so we're like, you know what? Would you guys be interested in getting hired?
Yeah.
And so we've hired them to be our videography, photography team for every year of YEM. All the videos you find on our YouTube channel and our website is all produced by them.
Yeah.
And from that, they've done ex-ambassador stuff with Dan Smalls. They did an event with him at Beacon Skiff up north. Mm-hmm. And then they've done, Reggae Fest videography for us as well.
Yeah.
And done many other things, but it all kind of came out of that. We've also had a student who's become very a frequent flyer in our program. Her name is Grace, and Grace started a bag company where she takes old denim jeans and then makes them into like bags. Okay, and they're really, really high quality bags, and she's gotten picked up in a number of the stores on the Commons.
Oh, that's great.
She's even had like a whole window display dedicated to her. So it's been another real success story. And yeah, I'm sure there's plenty more. But yeah, that's one of the things that I've seen, and a number of kids have done this where they've gotten picked up from being noticed by people on the Commons. They're like, hey, you guys are making really quality stuff. Aiden Gathinji is a student at New River Charter School, is another one she does amazing work with her jewelry.
Yeah.
And she got picked up and has been in a number of stores. Dan Small's son also got picked up with his Small Stones jewelry. And
nice.
So it's been really good to see kids, get beyond, what we're doing and get out into the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be so satisfying to see that come to fruition and to see get their wings and fly. So
yeah,
that is amazing.
And then, actually 2 other success stories, and you mentioned one of them when you were talking about the ex-ambassadors. But Rootstocks is a music festival. In 2019, we had 2 musicians. We had multiple musicians, but 2 that performed there. One was Kai Kinsella, and one was Rowan Drake.
Okay.
And those 2 since then, and I believe Kai has said that that was his first public performance.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know about Rowan, but I have heard that about Kai. And the 2 of them are now living in LA with record deals and are now, opening. Oh, yeah. Rowan is opening for the ex-ambassadors on this tour, and it's just really cool to see. And I don't think that Rootstock is why they're doing what they're doing now.
Right.
But just to see where young people getting these opportunities to try their craft, whatever it is, to then be able to take that out into the world with confidence that they can do it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the Rootstock, for those of you who don't know, was just this past weekend. That's an opportunity for it's a kind of an offshoot of YEM, is that right? And it's a festival, and all the bands are featuring kids, people in high school age or middle school age, and also all the vendors from the Youth Entrepreneur Program get to set up their tents and do all that. How was that last weekend?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, and also want to give credit to the two organizations behind Rootstock. So I work at New Roots Charter School, and when I was there in 2019, there was an idea of how to give students an opportunity to perform in the community. And the music teacher at the time, Ian Cummings, he had participated in an event like this, and I think it was something Palooza, but it was another name similar to Rootstock. You know, it was referencing another festival, and he said, "Let's generate a festival for the kids."
Yeah.
And so we did, and in doing that, we of course needed sound equipment and a good partner for festivals. So we partnered with GrassRoots, and so that's where Rootstock came from, because New Roots and GrassRoots both have the commonality of roots in their name.
That's
and
clever.
we all know where stock comes from, but yeah, so that Rootstock, and this past weekend, it was amazing. We had 17 performances, 14 bands, 3 dance troupes, and then we had, I think, 30 or more youth vendors. So it was our largest one. We had the best weather we've had. It was a fantastic. I mean, some kids were telling me they sold out of all their products.
Nice.
And the bands all performed really, really well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's a whole volunteer thing. You know,
Yeah.
nobody's getting paid to throw Rootstock. It's and GrassRoots comes and they donate all of their time, all the music. You know, it's really generous of them. And I think, you know, for GrassRoots, they don't get enough credit for what they do, you know, in the community outside of their festival, and they're not interested in bragging about it, you know. But I'll brag for them, because they're a very generous group of organizers, and Jordan specifically is who comes and produces all the sound at Rootstock each year.
That's awesome.
Right on. So before we get into the Reggae Fest, I had one more question for you. If you, based on your experience with Yem and Rootstock, what advice would you give to young individuals looking to start their own business or musical venture?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing, and I talked about it a little bit with the confidence, but just, you know, believe in your ideas. You know, we all have ideas, and we all have brains that allow us to, you know, rationalize and reason with things. And oftentimes our analytical brain will have us think that that's not possible.
Right.
And so really what we want young people to get out of these experiences is that your ideas are possible. And we tell students in YEM, like, don't feel like you have to come up with the next big thing.
Right.
You know, and we reference Emmy's Organics, for example. You know, that was started just from an initial very small idea and grew and became this multi-million-dollar thing. And it was born right here in Ithaca.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think just believing in ideas, and just following through on your ideas, and just take it all the way. And sometimes those ideas are going to work, and that's going to be great. But you're probably going to learn the least when they work.
Right.
You know, and sometimes they're not going to work, and that's where the real learning is. And we encourage students to
100%.
take risks,
do
things beyond what they know is possible, and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, well, you're going to learn more that way. And if it works, then it works, and then you're happy too.
Love that.
Yeah. That is great advice. So for any aspiring entrepreneurs out there who are listening to our show, or any parents out there who have kids, I highly recommend checking out this program. The website to sign up and to get more literature, sign up for the mailing list, get notified when the next workshops are, is yemithaca.com. So check it out. It's so awesome that you were able to share that story with us.
Yeah, that's
Thanks.
good. That was really cool.
And all right, so we're moving on to our next segment here with Michael. I feel like we could do 2 shows with just Yem and just Reggae Fest. But I'm really excited to talk about this next one with you. And so for those who might not be familiar with Reggae Fest, could you explain what Reggae Fest is and what it stands for?
Yeah, so our mission, first of all, you know, is dedicated to the protection of Cuga Lake through a conscious celebration of Ithaca's legendary reggae community and its history.
That's amazing.
And, you know, this community is rich with reggae history, dating back even to the 70s, you know, with the Old Haunt. John Peterson was bringing a lot of, you know, reggae acts here from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And the Old Haunt was very, very small and just had like world class. I mean, Fish played there. I mean, Pearl Jam's played there.
Right.
Tons of amazing reggae artists have played there. So we have a community here that has celebrated reggae music for a long time.
Yeah.
So this felt like a time to celebrate that. And so it's celebrating that music, which is a culture. Reggae culture is about unity, one love. So it's about bringing everyone together to celebrate one another, like I was saying earlier with Grassroots.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if everybody can come together and celebrate the music and the spirit of the culture, but then also we're having the festival in Stewart Park, like I was referencing earlier with Ithaca Festival.
Yeah.
And the park is right at the south end of Cuga Lake. And Cuga Lake is lacking some of the wetlands that used to be in the south end of the lake, which creates some of the algal blooms and the other challenges that we've seen health-wise with the lake.
Okay.
And so we really want to connect people to the value of the lake and what's going on with the lake, and help people get more connected to the lake through the water connector organizations that we work with.
Right
Okay.
on.
Yeah, that's a great mission.
Yeah.
Nice. Mike, what started you? What motivated you to start Ithaca Reggae Fest, and how did the idea of this festival come about? Like, origin story.
Yeah. So when I was growing up in the 90s, when I was in high school, John Brown's Body was it, and they were performing all the time at the Old Haunt. And I had two really, really close friends. One that I went to elementary all the way into college with. Her name's Yvette Lucenti, and then Charisse Lucenti is her sister. And they were both backup singers with John Brown's Body back then. And so we, as young people, we were all going to these shows as much as we could. And that was kind of like my original, that and Grassroots, kind of my original like love for live music. So reggae was kind of like in the roots of my love for this music. And so to see that, to have that experience as a young person, and then end up moving away, went away for college, went to Vermont, went out to California, and then came back in 2009, and Reggae Night was still happening.
Yeah, which is Wednesday night at the Haunt.
Well, back then it was at the dock.
Oh, at the dock.
Yep,
Okay, yeah.
Yep. And so it was still happening, and I was just blown away that the reggae scene was sustaining here for that long.
Yeah.
And I kept having this idea, like, why don't we have a reggae festival here?
Right.
And then in 2016, when I had a lot of inspiration, which was, part of what where Yem came from too, I started taking this conversation of, we should have a reggae festival. Like, hey, we're going to have a reggae festival.
Yeah.
And pitched it to some friends, and Kevin Kinsella being the main one. And he said, yeah, let's do it. And so we just started pursuing it. And, the original team, I referenced them as an amoeba, because we were literally just collecting people that shared this common interest.
Right.
And, I consider myself a co-founder of this festival, because it wasn't a new idea. It was an idea that a lot of people had.
Okay.
It was just, I was just like, hey, let's push this idea forward.
Right.
And then all the other people that shared in that same idea kind of joined the team out of passion and interest. And that's kind of how it all happened in 2017.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
That is such a great story. And I didn't realize it went that far back.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. So over the years, you guys have done an amazing job bringing internationally known Jamaican artists. We saw Clinton Fearon. There's been so many great artists there over the years. What are some of your most memorable performances over the past 5 years for the Reggae Fest? Is there any kind of one or two that really stick out? Any experiences or any performers that really stick out? And I have one I want to share after you go.
Yeah, I'm sure some of these answers are probably predictable, but I'll first just say, from a moment perspective, I remember in 2017, my best friend from growing up, Ethan Stern, he was just randomly in town, and we stood in the middle of the field looking out at this sea of humans and this whole event that was happening. And I remember just like having my arm around his shoulder, and we were just like, whoa, this happened.
Yeah.
And that was like a pinnacle moment. Just felt like we realized this vision.
And here it is. Yeah, it's happening.
And we were highly underprepared,
right?
Especially for the volume of people that showed up.
Yeah, there was so many people that showed up, which was great. The beer lines were long.
Every line was long.
Every line was long, but it was great though. We still had a great time.
Yeah, that was great. So for musical experiences, many. I mean, all the bands that have played there have been amazing. But I will say, having Kabaka Pyramid come and perform, being able to be so up close and personal with him, that was really, really special. And I remember when Reggae Night was kind of doing its shift, there was almost like 2 Reggae Nights happening, one at the range and then one at the dock, or one at the haunt. Judah was managing the one at the haunt, and he was able to. Kabaka was like in New York City.
Yeah,
I
was at that show.
Yeah, he was able to get him to come up here for like $500.
And there was like 25, 30 people there.
It was very, very small.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the show and just thinking about how professional this guy was.
He performed as if there was 1,000 people in the room.
It could have been a festival performance.
Yeah,
he was
it
so
was
pro.
electric. Yeah.
And I remember sitting with him backstage afterwards and just in awe, like, you are an incredible talent. And I said, we've got this festival that we do here, and I would love to bring you back for it. And so we had actually booked him to come in 2020. As we all know, 2020 didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then his stock just went through the roof. During COVID, he was producing so much music, putting out so many videos, new songs. I mean, it was incredible. And so when we reached back out to him for 2022, his price had gone up exponentially.
Right.
There was a little less eagerness to come and perform with us.
Right.
But I got in touch with his agent and just said, hey, I had this conversation with Kabaka, and I said, no, you're not supposed to play with your heart in this business, It's a business transaction. I said, but I'm laying my heart on the table. It's really, really important to have Kabaka come. Yeah. And of course he agreed to come, and that was special. The Clinton Fearon show, Clinton, I fell in love with him during that, just the build up to that festival and that performance. Michael Rose was supposed to be Sly and Robbie, ended up just being Sly.
Right.
Because that was the year that Robbie got sick and eventually passed. But yeah, having Michael Rose there, I mean, Black Uhuru is one of the original best reggae bands of all time, and Michael Rose is a phenomenal vocalist. And I remember backstage beforehand, he wouldn't speak to me. And I had to communicate with him through his, I think it was a wife or a girlfriend, but I had to communicate through her.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on here? And he got on stage, and just the way he used his vocal cords like an instrument.
Gotcha.
I really understood it. And he liked to say, Ithaca, Ithaca. And he just kept yelling that. And I really got an appreciation for how his voice was an instrument.
Yeah. And he was saving it, and he just wanted to make sure it was ready and it was in the right space.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And of course, John Brown's Body, the first year as the headlining act with Kevin on that. I mean, that whole first year, we had just handpicked all of our favorite acts in this area, and they all came. And like you said, coming from Buffalo, like we still look at that lineup today, and it's the smallest lineup of any that we've had, but it was like, you can't miss, like, every single act is just incredible.
It was.
And sometimes you can go to a festival and skip some bands,
Right.
But that one, you wanted to be there for everything, which was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. It was a culmination of all my favorite bands too. And in fact, on one of the episodes, we talked about what my dream lineup was, and I actually referenced that lineup as just a perfect kind of festival. If I was to plan something, that'd be pretty much what it was. So thanks for delivering my dream lineup. And I just want to say real quick, my favorite, or one of my most memorable experiences, a lot of them have been really good. Kabaka Pyramid was great. Clinton Fearon was great. I really enjoyed, you guys did a Sunday show the day after the festival in 2018, I believe, with Clinton Fearon and Kevin Kinsella. They did an acoustic show at the Beer Garden over at Ithaca Beer Company. And it was one of those like musical moments. I literally had tears coming down my face. It was such an emotional kind of thing. It was kind of raining out beforehand. You guys had to improvise and set up some cover and scramble around. And it was just such an emotional moment to see Kevin there performing with one of his idols, and the back and forth that they had. And, there's videos on YouTube. Look it up. Ithaca Reggae Fest, Kevin Kinsella and Clinton Fearon. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, we've got a couple of those videos on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, most people who have seen Kev perform before have heard his, song about when the Gladiators came to town, and Clinton was part of the Gladiators. And so for him to have that opportunity and perform with him, acoustic style, was so intimate. Yeah, definitely one of the more special moments of the festival.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so everyone loves a good festival, but no one knows how much work it goes into it. Now we have the guy to pick his brains, tell us the details about all the challenges that you face for like a relatively short period of time. logistical challenges, organization challenges, any other challenges that no one can even fathom or think about. Can you give us some stories or some ideas of like some challenges that you face when you do like a festival?
I mean, I think the biggest challenge is the finances. You know, festivals are not a real profit heavy thing unless you want to charge the prices that people charge today.
$180 a ticket.
And we don't do that. You know, our original vision was to have the festival be free.
Right.
And we do aspire to eventually get there one day when we have enough, you know, grants and sponsorship to be able to do it.
Amazing.
But finding the sponsors, finding the grants, the things that, you know, would help make it possible. And in that, you know, the festival would not be possible if it wasn't for Jay Sokoloff.
Okay.
He used to own the Dock and the Haunt, was putting on shows in Ithaca for a long time, partnered with Dan Smalls, who was booking the acts there. And I remember when Kev and I went to go meet with Jay and talk to him about, you know, the festival and the vision. And we asked him, you know, would you be able to help us out with some sponsorship? And his response to us was like, why are we talking about the first annual Ithaca Reggae Fest and not the 25th annual Ithaca Reggae Fest? And so we were like, yeah, that's a good question. We're wondering the same thing. So he said, look, I can help you guys. And when we received the sponsorship check in the mail, there was a letter with it, and the letter said, this is your annual installment.
Yeah.
Your first annual installment. And
Motivation.
and we didn't even understand that when we first got into it, but yeah, he has supported the festival.
That's awesome.
Our main sponsor, you know, the stage is, you know, is the Jay Sokoloff stage. And so, yeah, we really appreciate Jay and what he's done to empower this thing. You know, music is really important to him, and he loves the reggae music. And similar to me, you know, had these experiences with the old Haunt, and, you know, just fallen in love with reggae music. And so, yeah, so I think money is a challenge always when you're throwing an event. But, you know, the reason that it's a challenge is because tickets are dependent a lot in this region on weather.
Right.
And so weather has been our biggest thorn in that oftentimes we have predictions of weather that would prevent people from coming.
But then the day ends up being beautiful.
The day ends up being beautiful.
Yeah, it happened last year.
Welcome to Ithaca.
Yeah, it was like raining 10 miles from here in the surrounding towns, but down at the park, it was a beautiful day the whole day.
Yeah.
There's so many microclimates in Ithaca.
Yeah, seriously. So don't be discouraged out there if you're get your
go.
tickets, and if it's raining at your house, it's not going to be raining at the park. Come
It's
down.
gonna be a beautiful day.
Yeah, like 2022 when we had the big windstorm, you know, the beginning of the day was
Snowing.
Chaotic.
Yeah, it was
cold.
literally
the
snowing
wind
in the
was
morning.
blowing tents around, and then we ended up the afternoon was just incredible. I mean, when Kambaka performed, it was like
Yeah, it was
the
like
sun was
60
setting
degrees
behind the
out. It
stage.
was warm. Yeah,
It was unbelievable. So yeah, you know, even if you get weather in the morning, come out anyways because it's a beautiful thing.
Nice.
Well, so we've talked a little bit about what's led up to the festival, some of the challenges, some of your memorable moments. Let's talk about what's happening this year at the Ithaca Reggae Fest. Can you tell us a little bit about the lineup and just give us a kind of a play-by-play of what's happening on Friday and Saturday down at Stewart Park?
Yeah. So first, you know, I think this year is really special because we're kind of coming back to the roots of the festival with John Brown's Body headlining the event. You know, Kevin is now leading John Brown's Body again. Thank you, Elliot, for signing off on that. You know, and that's just really special. I mean, John Brown's Body means so much to our local music community, but more importantly to America's, you know, American reggae community.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've been to Cali Roots before in Monterey, and there'll be people on stage literally referencing Ithaca and John Brown's Body, inspiring what they're doing out there. And, you know, we all know California's got a pretty robust reggae scene going on today. So to have Kev and John Brown's Body headline the festival, especially with Kev, one of the original organizers, one of the co-founders, to have that happen, I'm really, really excited about that. And I think we've all, and I don't know if maybe you could play a Sister Nancy song while we're on this, but like Sister Nancy's Bam Bam song is probably one of the top 5 most classic reggae tunes of all time.
Yeah.
And to have her come and perform, she's having a resurge in her career right now.
Right.
To have her come, that's going to be really, really special.
Absolutely.
As well. Yeah.
I'm super excited for that. And then on Friday night, we've got the free show happening with Pokemon And that's happening at the Pavilion at Stewart Park, not at the main stage. And that event is actually free on Friday night, I believe, right?
Yeah. So Friday night was born out of the Haunt closing. Right. So Friday night we used to host our kind of welcome event at the Haunt, which was a ticketed event. It was a 21 plus event. So now the Haunt is no longer. Maybe it'll come back at some point, but the building itself is gone. The brand is still living somewhere.
Yeah.
I think Dan Smalls has it at this point. But yeah, so to have no Haunt, we needed a venue. And so we decided in 2022 that we would move our Friday night event to the large pavilion and make it a free event for the community.
That's awesome.
And that was just kind of, adapting in the moment, but it has really evolved to be a really, really special event on its own.
Yeah.
We've got, this year Pachimon. Last year we had the Scientist, which was incredible. Kev actually got up and sang with the Scientist, which was really, really great. But yeah, now we have Joel LaFrance, who does the Anakwa Medicine, which is an indigenous celebration. He's performed the last couple years. This year, Ben Ortiz will be doing some DJing. He's a Puerto Rican DJ. Pachimon is a Puerto Rican, producer.
Yeah.
And so to have both of those guys, we're going to have a Caribbean element to it, a real
Absolutely.
Caribbean theme. And one of our partners with the festival is GIAC, the Greater Ithaca Activity Center, which generates a lot of events for a lot of activities for youth in our community. And they are a partner of ours, and they're going to be producing like a Caribbean celebration on Friday night.
Amazing.
And also out of GIAC, the GIAC Jumpers, which is a youth dance troupe, very, very young youth dance troupe.
Yeah.
We've now made it an annual tradition that they are kind of the opening act. They do a performance out on the pavement there.
Yeah.
And everyone comes around, and it's a really, really special way to kick off the weekend.
It is.
Hell yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah. And then we also partner with two voter registration groups. One is Rejoice the Vote, which is a Jeff Furman project. Jeff Furman is one of the original founders of Ben & Jerry's. I was talking about him earlier with Yem. And so he's very passionate about voter registration and, helping young people understand their civic engagement, and involvement in the practice or in politics. And so getting that people to understand their value of voting. So we've partnered with him. We've partnered with Headcount, which does national stuff with voter registration. So having that, it's a free event, so people can come, they can register to vote at the event. And of course, we have some food vendors and drink vendors there as well.
Yeah.
But Friday night, I feel like is evolving to something really special. This year, Ben & Jerry's is one of the presenting sponsors.
Very cool.
Little sponsorship plug. If anyone's looking, we have another presenting sponsor option open out there.
Opportunities abound.
But yeah, that event is really, really, it's again, with the community, just bringing everybody together, regardless of whether you have a ticket or not. And earlier in the day, they also do the preliminary skateboarding event in the tennis court.
Okay, right.
Which is another really cool piece of the festival.
Absolutely.
So we have another partner, Yoga Farm Ithaca, and they have been working with us for years now, doing yoga events at the festival.
Yeah.
So we kick off Saturday with 108 sun salutations. They're very focused on Kundalini, so they're going to do a Kundalini class. So having yoga to kick off the day, kind of set the proper intention, is really, really cool.
Absolutely.
And then our partner GIAC organizes both the Live Art Village, which happens right outside the tennis courts.
Yes.
As well as the Youth Village, which is right next to that, which is where we have activities for young people, so that kids under 16 are free for the festival. We want this to be a very family-oriented community event, and so kids have activities. There's things scheduled for them too. Like we schedule the bands, and all the adults are there for the bands, but the kids want to have fun too.
Yeah. My wife's gonna bring 10 gallons of bubbles. She'll be there.
10 gallons is probably an underestimate.
Yeah. I don't think that's the right number. I think it's way more than that. But yeah.
A lot of bubbles. And of course, we have the Yem market there, so the Yem kids will be showcasing their stuff. Plus, we have really great drink vendors, and we have craft vendors. We have amazing food truck vendors.
Absolutely.
Of course, we have our merch tent. There's a lot of things going on, but there's a lot, and then the Flat Attack. Flat Attack is a skateboarding event that happens in the tennis court, which is right connected to the festival, but nobody needs a ticket to get in there. It's another free part of the festival. So you can get in through a gate on the outside of the tennis court, and the community can just come and enjoy that. They don't have to have a ticket.
Yeah.
And the Philadelphia Skateboard Academy is another one of our partners. They're connected, of course, with Mike Judah, who used to do the Ithaca Skate Jam. And so this is kind of like it's not Ithaca Skate Jam, but this is Mike's energy that he's putting into, skateboarding events locally. His passions are skateboarding and reggae, so it's a perfect blend for him.
Yeah.
And he's been part of the team since the beginning as well. So having that skateboarding element to it, it's another way to bring different people. The festival isn't just intended to be about reggae music. It's about everyone. It's about the community. So we have yoga, skateboarding, youth activities, art activities, all these things all are part of bringing people together. And then this year we changed the name of what we used to call the Education Village to Lake Discovery Village.
Yeah.
And Lake Discovery Village this year is going to be really an interactive opportunity for people to connect to the organizations that are working for the health and restoration of Cayuga Lake. So we have a really tight core group of people that are working really hard this year to produce that piece of it in a way that has been evolving over time. But I feel like this year we're gonna see the real vision of what that village is about.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Michael, do you have any future plans for the Ithaca Reggae Fest the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think similar to the theme of what we've been talking about, just continuing to evolve the event to be as community-centric as possible, bringing everyone together, and have it be, our local community, but also, throughout the state of New York. New York State doesn't have a reggae festival at this point besides ours.
Yeah.
And so, I Love New York, which we all know, I Love New York symbol. They do grants to try to promote activities like this in the community, and they are in the state, and they gave us a grant this year, and we hope to
That's
evolve
amazing.
with them to really make Reggae Fest kind of a central hub in New York State. And we have a vision of evolving, so we don't have any activities on Sunday currently, and evolving Sunday. And this hasn't really been published yet, but I'll share now for the
nice.
listeners.
Heard it first in the podcast.
Yeah, that we're considering a yoga festival on Sunday, so folks can come in, be part of the Reggae Fest,
Yeah, Sunday recharge.
and then Sunday be a day of wellness and taking care of themselves through
Yeah.
yoga practices.
I think there's a real appetite for that, and I do. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, so I think that making it a 3-day event, adding that whole yoga component, and there's a lot of like yogi artists, musicians who would perform. I mean, Michael Frani, as we all know, is a avid yoga practitioner. And,
Yeah, who's been to Reggae Fest before?
he was actually at the very first Reggae Fest.
That's right.
Which is a whole nother story. Yeah, yeah. I'll share real quick. His story, or his he lives in San Francisco, and when I was living in Sacramento, he had an event called Power to the Peaceful. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was a free event. It was all about raising awareness about Mumia Abu Jamal, who was a political prisoner in Philadelphia, who allegedly murdered a police officer, but there's evidence against that, and so he's been in jail for that for a long time. And so Michael Frani wanted to raise awareness about that and trying to free Mumia, and the festival eventually evolved to being a lot about the war in Afghanistan, 9/11, the Iraq War, and it was a very like socially driven festival. It was totally free. You just go for the day, and we went 7 years in a row.
Yeah.
And those were the last 7 years I was living in California. I was there for 10 years. So the majority of the years I was there. And when I came back, that was like in the back of my mind when we came up with this idea of like, how can we have a festival that's not just about the music, but about some social good?
Yeah.
That's where the lake came into it and all the other things we've talked about. But to have him come and be at the festival, I wanted to go and just tell him all this stuff, but I didn't want to, be all groupie on him, So I walked up to him and I just gave him a t-shirt and just thanked him for being there, because he was just there for a yoga thing. And I went up on stage at one point and read the proclamation that Savante wrote, calling it Finger Lake Day. And I read the whole proclamation.
Yeah.
And I came off stage and I was walking back behind the vendors, and Michael Frowning was there on his bike with his bike helmet on. And he's like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" I was like, "Sure." And he said, "Good job up there, man. That was really great."
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." And I said, can I tell you a story?" And then I shared with them about how, Power of the Peaceful Festival inspired Reggae Fest, and how serendipitous it was that I was standing there with him, telling him that story on the inaugural year. And he was so present with me and so humble. He wasn't like, "Oh yeah, I did this," It was more like, "Wow, okay." Like, he just let it sink in that he's creating good, and starting trends all around the world. So that was a really special moment.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I'm glad I did not know that story.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you were able to share that with us. Well, this has been a really great conversation. So good to hear about all the stuff that you have going on and these two amazing events. Is there anything that we haven't covered today that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I want to give just real special thanks to everyone who works behind the scenes.
It's a big team, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people. I'm here representing a lot of people. We have a team of 5. Russ Friedel, Gabe McCarthy, Micah Bean Miller, Connor Gaffney. We're working every week. We meet weekly all year round to prepare for this. And then we have another group of 5 that kind of come in, seasonally to help produce, various different aspects of the festival. And so I really want to just give a special thanks to all of them. And then there's so many more people who volunteer and, help make these things possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I was really, kind of thinking about it recently, watching the Rangers and the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. And there was a series of nights where it was like Knicks one night, Rangers the next night, Knicks the next night, Rangers the next night, all in the same venue. And you think about all the human beings that were behind the scenes, actively converting the stadium from a basketball arena to a hockey arena, back to a basketball arena. Nobody knows any of those people.
Right.
We all know James Dolan's name, right? But we don't know the names of all those people that put in that hard work. And so I was really thinking about that and thinking about things like Reggae Fest and GrassRoots and Ithaca Festival and all these festivals around the world. There's so many people who are unknown that are making these things possible for people to come together and connect.
Yeah.
And I just want to give special thanks to all those people, because without that, we don't get to have these celebrations and these things together.
Yeah.
Right on.
It takes a village.
Yeah, it really does. And one of the people sitting here at this table, Mr. Pete Sturgeon, does all of our website for us.
Oh,
and
thanks for the mention. And it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
I love being involved with the festival, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to work with you guys. It's been amazing. So
and you're so willing and so responsive, and you do things quickly. And I think that speaks to what I was saying before about the amoeba. You get people who have a similar interest. People don't get into Reggae Fest because they're there to make money or have a job, but they have a common joy in bringing this event to life. And you're one of those people. So thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you for bringing the festival to us. And this has been a great conversation. You were one of the people that I put on the list when me and Sean started putting a list together.
You're on our hit list.
Yeah, you were on our hit list of people that we had to get in here. So with the festival coming up here in a few weeks, it was just really timely.
Yeah,
so
great
thanks
time.
again
Thanks,
for
Michael.
joining us today. And we'll have to have you back on again next year, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, maybe you guys could do like a live podcast at Reggae Fest.
We've been talking about doing
Yeah,
a live
we
podcast.
Yeah, we should consider doing that.
We're up there now.
Yeah, we've talked about doing it at GrassRoots.
Yeah.
And TJ mentioned us doing it at Deep Dive.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, well, you just let us know. We'll make it happen.
Awesome.
Right. All right. Well, thanks everyone for sticking with us through this conversation. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did. Stick with us. Me and Sean are going to have some conversations about the great outdoors. So stick with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Nature calls and Sean answers. Join us as we venture into the great outdoors.
And we're back.
Back and better than ever.
Oh, that was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was. It was really insightful.
So nice to have Michael come in and join us and tell us all about the great stuff that they have going on. Are you going to be in town for the Reggae Fest this year? I know you usually do like a mountain biking trip that weekend. Is that happening on that weekend this year?
So the mountain bike race is in June, and I tried to sign up in I think February, and they're sold out.
Oh, really?
It was bleep bleep bleep.
Oh no.
So no, I'm not doing that race. Is it Reggae Fest the weekend of Father's Day weekend, or is it?
It's the 21st and 22nd, which I think this year is the weekend before. I'm not 100% sure. Well, in any event, hopefully you can make it. I know you like to go out of town on the weekends. You have a lot going on. I noticed the past few weeks you've done some camping trips.
Yeah.
Also, you've made it out and done some out-of-town biking. From looking at your Strava map, it looks like. What have you had going on the past few weeks?
So actually, I don't want to say like the words discover, but I went to a new hiking / mountain biking / camping spot called Oakley Corners in Owego.
Okay.
It's about 40 minutes from Ithaca. The trails there aren't as technical as Shindagan, which we'll talk about with your first trip there.
Yeah.
But there was several miles of trails there. A really cool pond there. The fact that it's only 40 minutes away, it's pretty cool. I definitely recommend it, just because it was. I actually found it online. I think I just Googled like New York State mountain bike trails.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Shindagan was there, and then I just wanted to do something different and like test it out. It's not as I would say not as technical as Shindagan.
Okay, so the paths are a little bit wider, a little bit straighter.
Little just so like at Shindagan, there's definitely some spots where it's been some crew has like worked on for like jumps and stuff. Mm-hmm. This one's basically just like trails.
Okay, nice.
So it's just like undulating trails, so nothing like too crazy, too technical. Something you can just kind of like free ride.
And is it one big loop, or is there multiple trails?
Yeah, there are multiple trails. I think I read it was like 15 miles worth of trails.
Okay.
So again, not as big as Shindagan, but definitely like you'll get your money's worth, your time's worth there. And then the cool thing is like when I went there, the last time I went there, after I rode down for a little trails, like I checked out the pond there, which is like pretty good size, and just like made a little fire and did breakfast s'mores there, like post ride.
Nice.
And I didn't see anyone there except for like the ducks. So yeah, definitely a cool spot. Oakley Corners in Owego.
Very good stuff. I would definitely like to check that out. I didn't realize that was only 40 minutes from here.
Yeah, and it's a super easy trip. It's down Route 79 and down Route 38 or something like that. So it's just like an L.
And then, so do you have like, is it dispersed camping where you just kind of find a spot, or do you pay for a campsite, or how does that work?
I mean, I have not camped yet. I mean, I definitely found some spots I would want to camp at. Mm-hmm. So I didn't see any signs where you definitely don't have to pay.
Okay, so it's not like we have campsites available for you to buy and then check in. It's just kind of like an open park, and you could probably get away with crashing for the night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd definitely like to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, let's talk about your maiden voyage to Shindagan.
Yeah,
with our dear friend Steve Gelb, the owner of Old Goat and Bike Bar.
That's right. So one of the things that's come out of this podcast and us hanging out for the past year is, I've always snowboarded for the past, 15 years or so, but hadn't really mountain biked since I was a kid in high school, and bought a mountain bike at the end of the season last year. Yep. And you inspired me to do that, and Steve Gelb took me out from Bike Bar and from the Old Goat Bike Shop. We were here at the bar one night. I said, "Hey, I got this new bike. I haven't been out to Shindagan yet. I'm kind of intimidated. I'm not in very good shape. Yeah. I don't think I should go out into something that kind of technical and
sure.
Kind of
well, just like going out in the woods. I mean, like, yeah, I'm lost now.
Yeah, exactly. And it was funny. We were hanging out at the bar the night before, and I said, "Yeah, let's go. We're gonna go tomorrow morning at 6 a.m." or talking all this big talk, and he's like, "Well, let's be more realistic. Let's talk like 9 a.m." Yeah. And I texted him at like 8:30. I was like, "Dude, I'm not going today."
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not going. And I'm like, and he's like, come on. He's like, what's the deal? I said, I'm just out of shape. I don't want to waste your time. I feel like I could only get out there for like maybe half an hour.
I don't know, it's just you were rough shape because hanging out in his bar.
Maybe that was a little bit, but I
Yeah.
think it was just more, I was just like, I didn't want to waste his time because I figured I'd get out there and after 30 minutes I'd be winded and like wouldn't be able to ride anymore. But he was like, hey, don't worry about it. He's like, let's go at 1 o'clock today.
Yeah.
He's like, get your stuff together. I'll take you out there.
Yeah, he knows it.
Yeah.
His backyard, which basically is his backyard.
And I couldn't have had a better, host for my first time ride. Or it was basically like a guided tour. We met at his house, which is like you said, is like right there next to next to the state forest there. And he was great. I didn't have a water bottle hooked up, so he gave me a water bottle cage and a water bottle. And we got out there, and I thought we were going to kind of take it easy a little bit. And the first thing we did when we get to the parking lot, he's like, all right, we got to go up this steep climb right off the bat. You might have to walk it part of the way.
Yeah.
But once we get up to the top, there's a nice ridge and we can do some loops. And he was right. I did have to walk part of the way up.
Sure.
But I did a lot better than I thought I was going to do.
He, for the record, and we'll say this on the Pulse Ithaca podcast, he did give you props.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he did. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised at how well I did too, because I made it almost an hour. I think we did about 5 miles.
Yeah, a solid hour is like, it's definitely, it's a good amount.
Yeah, and I think he wanted to go a little bit further past where we went. But I was like, hey, I feel like I haven't hurt myself. I've stayed upright. I haven't blown my back out yet, and my muscles haven't seized up. Let's head back to the car. So just it was super great of him to do that with me, and I had so much fun.
Nice.
He also showed me on his bike, on his car, he had like a bike carrier that holds 2 bikes out of a hitch out of the back. So he hooked me up with a really good deal on the bike hitch. He offered to help me install the hitch on my car because I didn't have one at the time.
Okay.
Which is just really generous of him. But yeah, it was a great time, and I can't wait to get back out again. I've been trying to ride about 15 miles a week. This is my first week of trying it. Trying to get out 5 days a week, just going around my neighborhood, and so that I can get in shape and go out there and like last a little bit longer out there.
There you go. It's cool because it's cool thing about Shindagan is like there's so many trails. I think there's like 20 plus miles.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
So
looking at maps,
make it like as hard as you want or as easy as you want, which is like a nice cool option. But yeah, like when you parked in the main parking lot there.
Yeah, it was kind of the one at the bottom of the valley.
Yeah, like it's basically like the biggest parking spot there. There's a map there. So I do this too. I always take a picture because there's no cell service in Shindagan.
Right.
So like I'll kind of like pre-map our route in my head, and then I'll just like check my phone about all right, like make the next right turn or whatever. Otherwise, I know Shindagan pretty well, but there's definitely times where I'm just like in the moment and getting the momentum. Like I just want to ride for an hour.
Yeah.
I didn't make the right turn, so now I'm adding another hour to my hour. Like,
yeah, it's easy to get turned around. And the way Steve was describing it to me is it's a valley, right? That parking lot is in the bottom of a valley. So you can go up one side, which is the easier side, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the other side, he said, was more challenging and more difficult. Are you familiar with what he's referring
so
to there?
If you go, it's the Blue Trails. It's basically more downhill. It's more like a winding downhill.
Yeah.
Which is if you wanted to make it really hard and technical or go fast, that's one you would go to. If you go with your group of friends, sometimes it's ideal to take 2 cars. You have like one group or one car like go to the top, and then you have another car at the bottom.
Yeah. In fact, Steve had mentioned this. Now that I have the rack, now we can do a shuttle service.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's like sometimes like when I try and map out like what I want to do for that day, it's like, all right, do I want to start at the top and just have fun in the beginning, and then at the end have to like climb back up?
Yeah.
Or like do the opposite.
And suffer first.
Yeah.
What do you normally go with? Does it vary?
Yeah, it's totally vary.
Yeah. Another thing that I discovered was the difference between a hardtail bike, which is what I have, which has the front fork suspension, and then the full suspension bike. I'm on a budget, just getting back into it.
Yeah.
So I got the hardtail, but Steve let me ride his full suspension bike briefly, and it kind of ruined me because it's such a better experience with the roots and just having. I feel like a lot more in control on the bike when you've got that rear suspension, at least just in the few minutes that I rode it. So I'm gonna start saving up here in a couple of years.
There you go.
Get myself a full suspension
Get the
bike.
bike bug.
That's right.
I'm sorry, man. It's an expensive bug.
I know, right? But I'm excited that I have something to do in the summer now that's active and kind of an action sport and whatnot, because I said winter was my favorite sport, and I was so disappointed that snowboarding season was over. But now we're on to mountain biking season. So
Right. So we both got our passes for Great Peak for next season.
yes, and they're opening this weekend.
Yep, and which includes the mountain bike park.
That's right.
Which is awesome, and then that's going to be new for you too this summer.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I just got to be careful because that's a downhill. It's a little more extreme.
Yeah, it's a little more extreme.
They do have some green trails though that I think go east to west or horizontally, so you're not going straight down the hill.
Kind of like the same setup as like skiing or snowboarding, where you have like the green, blues, and blacks. So you can make it as easy as you want or as hard as you want, which is cool because you have the options to make it whatever kind of day you want it to be. And it's really cool that it's included with your snowboard pass.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. I didn't realize that they included that. If you get the ski pass, then you can ride at the park.
Totally.
For free.
So like the last 4 years, I've gotten like a ski pass. I've made my money. I'm sorry. I've made my money through like the biking before the first snowfall.
Right.
Which makes me totally happy.
Yeah.
Like this past winter, like there wasn't much snow.
Yeah, there wasn't.
So it was really hard to like kind of get your money's worth.
Yeah.
In terms of like the pass, but like since I already had the mountain bike pass, it was like I'm good.
Yeah. So what is that? I've been trying to find videos of what it looks like when people are putting their bikes on those lifts to get to the top of that hill. What does that look like? They don't stop the lift for you, do they?
No, but it's cool though. It's like we'll have people there to like take your bike and put it on the lift for you. Like on the lift, you'll see like there's like a little like J hook on it. So like one of the workers there will take your bike and then put it on there for you, and then you go on the lift behind your bike. So then when you're going up the hill, when you get to the top, there'll be someone that takes your bike off for you and has it waiting for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
So it's basically like self-service.
Okay. Yeah, it was full service then.
Full service, yes.
Yeah, because you don't have to. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I was wondering how they did that.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to
It's
getting
interesting because other mountain bike parks, it's all different.
Okay,
And
right.
there's always this awkwardness. So like when I go like Wyndham, they have like contraptions that like grab like the front tire, but you have to put it on there, and then like a mountain bike's like it's not really heavy per se, but it's just awkward shape.
Yeah.
And like lifting like a weight above your head is like awkward
While it's moving.
and then like you're always afraid like I'm gonna be the guy that like doesn't put it on right, and then they have to stop the machine, and like everyone's looking at me like annoyed that like come on guy, like come on, it's not so hard, like
Right.
holding this up here.
Well, that's awesome. I hope that you and I can get out there. I'll try not to hold you back too much, but I think it'd be great to get out there and ride with you at some point this summer. So yeah, they're opening up this weekend. Definitely been enjoying the Strava app. I know you're on there as well.
Yep.
I will put links in our bio to our profiles. We'd love to have people. We'd love to follow our listeners and have you follow us and maybe connect with you on the trails. So check us out on Instagram. At the Pulse of Ithaca, and check out our links in the bio. We'll have our Strava in there for you. What else do we have here? I think we pretty much covered everything. This weekend, you're going camping in the Catskills, is that right?
I am, yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. You got like a point A to point B hike, and it's the dry ridge.
So basically, you're going to pack in everything you need on your back and camp in one spot, and then get up and go to another spot the next night, or how's that work?
I'm just doing one overnight. I'm going to get there early Saturday. I'm basically, I'm carrying everything I need. So this objective is like a minimalist objective, so I'm not bringing a tent.
Okay.
I do have a hammock tent.
What about a tarp?
I'm probably going to bring a tarp.
Some rope?
Rope, but I'm trying to keep my pack under 25 pounds.
Okay. What about, you say hammock or?
Yeah, hammock tent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, a hammock tent. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's already got a covering on it.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
But I have like one of those like travel luggage scales.
Okay.
So I've been monitoring it.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And I'm trying to keep it as lean as possible.
Okay.
But
And that includes food and everything, right?
I'm not including food or water or booze
Okay.
because I won't make that weight limit.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
No, it's no way. Just all the whiskey and beer. We're cooking tomahawk pork chops.
Okay.
Like potatoes and like corn. food and the water and liquids, like, it adds up quite a bit. But in terms of like gear, I'm trying to keep it pretty light.
Yeah.
Which is really not like the way I do things, not intentionally. I just have, when it comes to like hiking and camping, I have way too many toys. I want to bring them all.
Right.
So it's like, oh, like my bag's like 40 pounds. Do I really need multiple hatchets or multiple knives? No, I don't. But
Right.
just in case, I'll have all the options I need. But yeah, that's the goal. Trying to keep it super light and tight. And because I think altogether, the hike would probably be like 7 or 8 miles in the mountains.
Okay.
So I'm not like quite sure how the trails are going to be, but I mean, it's going to be work. So
Do you have to worry about bears out there? Are you in bear country?
we're in Bigfoot country.
Okay.
Wink, wink. I guess, yeah, technically, yeah, I've never encountered a bear in the woods. So.
Okay, so you don't have your contingency plan. You don't have like your spray. You don't know if it's brown or black. Like what I know, one of them you're supposed to make yourself big and stand your ground. The other one you're supposed to like.
There's
I don't know. I feel like I should know
there's no bear
these things.
cancer, so we're not hiding our food.
Okay.
If he wants to take the food, he'll have at it, but just don't take my whiskey.
Yeah, and just don't take you as food.
Yeah. What about you? What about your plans for Memorial Day weekend?
So we did open up our camper out in Hector. So
Nice.
we're going to be heading out there.
Okay.
My brother-in-laws are going to be coming down.
Page 1, page 2?
That's right. They're going to come down and hang with us. Probably hit up some of the hiking over there. I actually found some mountain bike trails over
awesome.
in the Hector National Forest, or the Finger Lakes National Forest, which is in Hector.
Just huge.
And I used Strava to actually find that because I know they have a lot of hiking trails and things like that. But
Strava, you can sponsor us anytime you want.
that's right. But I found like it's right there on like, I think it's called Picnic Road or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mapped it out. So I'm looking forward to checking out some of those trails and then also hitting up some of the restaurants and wineries and breweries over there. Definitely gonna be over at Two Goats and
Absolutely.
and Lucky Hair and some of the other places.
Are you going Friday or Thursday or?
I don't know. I might leave tomorrow after work and work remotely because I do have Wi-Fi.
Okay.
At the camper. So yeah, I might be out there for a couple, 2 or 3 days, and then Joanna and Nathan and the dogs are going to come join me on Saturday.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's nice with this hot weather. I'm sure my son will be
It's been
swimming.
beautiful.
Yeah, he's been wanting to get in the water, so
Yeah.
I think I'll feel a little bit better about him getting in there since it's been so warm.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's pretty much my weekend, and just we're so fortunate to have all this great weather this week to.
Yeah, leading into like a great like holiday weekend and just being able to like be outside and enjoy it and then just enjoy all the local scenes that we have. Like,
Yeah.
So
Good stuff. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up another episode of the Pulse of Ithaca podcast. We'd like to thank everybody for listening in. We know that you have a lot of different choices for how you spend your time, and we really appreciate it. The feedback that you all have been giving us online and in person has really made all the difference, so keep it coming. Always excited to hear from our listeners and let us know what you're enjoying and those types of things, so definitely hit us up. I'm your host, Pete, and Of course, I've been joined by the ever insightful Sean. We hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to doing it with you again soon. So until next time, keep your finger on the pulse of Ithaca and make the most of this amazing place we call home. Take care, everyone.